Let's look at the highest rung in the ladder of happiness. It is the meditation happiness. The happiness that one gets out of meditation. Now, meditation is a very overused word nowadays in the entire, you know, media, and wherever you look around, everybody seems to be talking about meditation. How easy is it, or how tough is it? And why do people want to go for meditation? And why is it at the highest rung of the ladder of happiness? And what do we mean by it? Let's try and understand. Actually, when you talk about meditation, it's not very easy for everyone to do it, because if you understand the power of the mind is a very, very, very powerful mechanism within all human beings, and it is like constantly jumping from one thought to the other thought. In fact, mind is nothing but the flow of thoughts, or the modification of thoughts which are happening within us at any point in time. So if we have to reach the state of meditation, it is very, very important for us to still the mind. Now, therefore, there is a whole concept of yoga, or a technology of yoga, which has been given to us by sage Patanjali, and that is used to reach the stage of meditation at the very last two steps, which is called dhyana and samadhi. But before that dhyana and samadhi happens, there is a huge number of steps that are to be followed, and therefore it's not so simple to still the mind. But yes, it is definitely, if somebody is capable of doing this, and of course it requires a lot of practice on a consistent basis, which allows a person to be able to be with themselves, to actually still their mind. And moment the mind is stilled, what happens is the self awareness improves. What I mean by self awareness, there is a hidden infinite potential, or a shining sun right within each of us, but which is not available to us because our mind is constantly running outwards, and we are always in, either the past or the future, and we are always into some action or the other. But what happens is, when we are in a state of meditation, we are actually in a still state of the mind, where the thoughts are not there. It's a thoughtless state. And when you reach a thoughtless state, is when the real infinite potential, or the sun which is shining inside us, starts reflecting onto the mind in a very powerful manner. And that power is something that is can only be experienced by people who are able to reach that state. And once that state, when a person is able to experience that state even for a fraction of a second, they would realize the power of that happiness. That happiness has got a power which is exponentially higher than all the other states of happiness, which is why a lot of people are trying to get into this stage and see how they can achieve this, state of meditation, and reach that state of happiness, because it's very, very attractive. The intensity of happiness that a person would experience, they say, is so high that it is something that cannot be compared with any of the other four states. Therefore, what is the need? What is the way that somebody can achieve this meditation happiness? Yes, you need a very stable and focused mind. Complete awareness is what we are talking about, where you're able to actually feel or experience the consciousness that is right within us. And when this happens, you lose sense of this whole body mind intelligence complex, and you become one with the entire universe. It's a kind of a dissolved state of, affairs, where you're completely dissolved into this entire universe, and you see everything around as you, everything is one. So that's the beauty of this connecting to the self. And as shown in the graph here, it says that the more self-aware you become, the happiness goes exponentially up. So this is the beauty of increasing self-awareness in us. And this self-awareness can only happen when our mind is still and becomes thoughtless. So we have to move from many, many thoughts to a focused single thought, to a state of thoughtlessness, which is what the yoga technology is all about, trying to tell us how to achieve this kind of a state by following the 8 steps of yoga, that is yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, and then dhyana and samadhi, the last two steps, they start happening on their own because that is something that is natural to us. But then you have to go through these steps and you have to follow it on a consistent basis. A simpler way to start doing meditation, especially for people who are in the world and they are completely caught up with all the actions in the home and in the workspace, is that at least start with a 5 minute to 10-minute practice of meditation every day at the same time in the same place, with a keeping it as a very sacred activity. So having a special space in your house for meditation, especially getting up in the morning, the first thing that you can do is just close our eyes and sit down for 5 minutes and try to ensure that the thoughts reduce, or maybe use chanting methodologies, or maybe use certain breathing exercises to ensure that a mind is only focused on that particular thing initially, and over a period of time, as we develop the practice of sitting for longer periods of time, we would eventually reach the state where what we are talking about. So I think, but it definitely calls for an effort for us to try and experience even a moment of this happiness, if at all it is there, as it is only within us, it is not outside anywhere. There is no requirement to acquire anything, it is right within us. All we need to do is spend some time with ourselves, without talking, without thinking, and try to still our mind, still our thoughts, and try to access that infinite source of happiness that lies right within ourselves. So I think that's the reason why this is called the highest rung in the ladder of happiness. It is the topmost state of happiness that anybody could achieve in life, and that's why what people call it as enlightened souls, or Jivan Muktas. I think they are the people who have experienced this meditation happiness and are therefore in a state where they can generate this happiness for others also. So imagine this is the level of infinite level of happiness that can be achieved by us. And that's the understanding of meditation happiness. Thank you.